Coming to you live from our studios in Belize City, this is the evening news on Love Television for Monday, August 15th. We'll get you started with a look at the stories making the headlines for today. Deputy Prime Minister's vehicle ends up in the Caribbean Sea. He says that it was stolen. BICO makes substantial donation to the Belize Red Cross to continue its hurricane relief efforts. Attorney General Vanessa Rittridge sworn in as a senator. Melissa Ferguson gets Supreme Court bail, and 2 murders reported in the Cayo district. Last night, sometime after 7 o'clock, a vehicle assigned to Deputy Prime Minister Patrick Faber ended up in the Caribbean Sea near Marine Parade. There are many questions surrounding the incident, and today the Deputy Prime Minister made himself available to do just that. But first, we hear the official police version. Officer in charge of Eastern Division South, Assistant Commissioner Chester Williams, discussed the issue.
Last night around after 7 p.m., the Deputy Prime Minister reported his vehicle stolen, and the vehicle was found plunged in the sea near Marine Parade Boulevard. It was almost totally submerged. It was removed from the water and is currently at the Queen Street Police Station. It will be taken to Belize Estate, not Belize Estate, to Belize Diesel, and I have communicated with them, and they're saying that the vehicle can be brought back, but the sooner the vehicle gets there, the better it is. So we're in the process of getting the vehicle from Queen Street to Belize Diesel so that they can commence working on the vehicle so as not to have the vehicle totally destroyed.
ACP Williams stated that the vehicle will be inspected at the Queen Street Police Station and later on will be taken to the Belize Diesel for further inspection.
Melissa had parked the vehicle at his girlfriend's house on the George Price Highway, that is mile 4 to be exact, and there was where the vehicle was stolen from. And after he was notified of the vehicle being found in the Caribbean Sea, that's when he actually realized that the vehicle had been stolen. It's a theft of a motor vehicle, and the police are investigating. The commissioner has directed Mr. Lyndon Flowers, senior superintendent, to investigate the matter, and Mr. Flowers is on top of it. And we are assisting him because, after all, the vehicle was stolen from our jurisdiction. Mile 4 is in the south side jurisdiction. So we are assisting to the best that we can to see how we can get to the bottom of this, to be able to ascertain exactly who removed the vehicle from where it was parked and went and plunged it into the Caribbean Sea. That we did not find a key inside the vehicle. So I don't know if it was hot-wired or what. I don't know how that works, so I cannot answer that question.
As you have heard, the government-issued vehicle, a 2013 Toyota Prado, was found partly submerged in the sea near Marine Parade in Belize City. Via his social media page, Minister Patrick Faber had indicated that his vehicle was stolen and that he was not present in the white SUV. Authorities had managed to extract the vehicle from the water just before 9 o'clock last night. Deputy Prime Minister Faber spoke with the media this afternoon. In the meeting, he spoke of the last time he drove the vehicle, having parked it in a friend's yard on the George Price Highway.
Yesterday evening, around between 5:30 and 6, I'd say, I parked my vehicle at mile 3.5, between 3.5 and 4 miles there on the George Price Highway, the Western Highway, and I got a lift back to the Old Belize where I was earlier in the day, having gone to the Keys. While I was there, I was notified maybe about 8 o'clock or so, just before 8, by Ms. Sava from Love FM, that my vehicle was reportedly in the sea in front of Marine Parade. I was subsequently called by ACP Broster, who confirmed that my vehicle was in there. I checked, and sure enough, my vehicle was not where I had expected it to be, and it was then that I learned that it was stolen and that it was in fact plunged into the sea. I then called ACP Chester Williams, who I made the report with, and at some point last night I also made a formal statement to the police, a recorded statement explaining what I understood to be the case, certainly as it related to the series of events yesterday evening. So, as far as I was able to ascertain, the vehicle was stolen and taken for a ride. I have not seen the vehicle, so I can't tell you if there were things missing. I can only say what the police reported to me. I did have a very limited amount of money in the glove compartment, I think about $200 or $300, and my credit cards and stuff like that, which I was able to get back from the police, but my laptop and my other equipment needed for everyday work was not in there, thankfully. And again, while it is regretful that this happened, I am thankful that there was no loss of life, and I know now that the police has launched a full investigation to try to find out who the culprit is in terms of the vehicle disappearing from that location that I left it.
According to Faber, the vehicle was purchased partly by the government as he had paid $40,000 towards the total price, which is about $130,000. So who would want to steal the minister's vehicle? The media asked him of enemies that he may have that would explain the reported theft.
Well, I always say that I don't have much enemies, but in politics that's sometimes nonsensical. But to my knowledge, nobody had that kind of anger towards me. At least I did not know about it. The police reported to me that the eyewitnesses saw a male of Creole descent in the vehicle or driving the vehicle, contrary to the flow of traffic on weekends on the Princess Margaret Drive coming into Marine Parade. And then that the vehicle was, well, it came on the side of traffic that it was not to, and then veered into the sea. I will say that I've heard comments that people are saying that I was in the driver's seat, and I'll make that as plain as I can. I was nowhere in the vehicle. Some of the descriptions that have come to me say that it was a person of Creole descent, short and kind of stocky, which some would believe describes me. Well, I will assure people that I was nowhere around the scene, and it was not me who was driving. In fact, when I learned of the vehicle being in the Sears, it was that I was at the Wilbelese stockyard. So, and I know for certain that my driver was not involved as well, because they weren't working on that day.
A point of concern brought up was the fact that the vehicle had no license plates, to which Faber explained that he does remove them from time to time, and at the time of the alleged theft, the plates were inside the vehicle. As it relates to the speculation that the incident may have occurred following a domestic issue, Faber indicated that it was not the case.
Yes, that was where I left the vehicle, and I did not authorize anybody to move it or to drive it. My check on how it moved, or I left the key with my friend Indeed, caused me to believe, as she's saying, that somebody stole the vehicle. I will say at this time as well that I do have a second set of keys that have been missing for the vehicle, and that has been missing for some time, although I'm not certain that was the key used to move it. But I think it is useful to share that with you, that there is an outstanding key, if you will, at large somewhere that pertains to that vehicle. From what I've been told, that a male was driving the vehicle and that caused it to get into the water. So I have no reason to believe that there was some issue with my friend that caused her to want to damage the vehicle.
Faber says the vehicle is at the dealer to undergo an assessment as to whether it can be fixed for continued use. He added that it is not only a loss for the government but for him as well, since he did contribute $40,000 of the purchase price. Canadian national Melissa Ferguson, the common-law wife of accused murderer William Mason, who was remanded into custody on a charge of conspiracy to commit kidnapping, was released today on a bail of $12,000 that was granted by Justice John Gonzalez. The respondent, represented by senior Crown Counsel Shaniza Smith, said not object to bail. The bail was offered on the condition that Ferguson reports to Belmont Police Station every Friday, commencing this Friday, until the matter is disposed of. That Ferguson surrenders all travel documents, that she attends court on all adjourned dates, and that she does not interfere with the prosecution witnesses. Ferguson was represented by attorney Dickie Bradley. The Belize Red Cross received a donation from BCOL to continue the relief work they have been doing in meeting the needs of victims of Hurricane Earl, which caused considerable damage to Belize. The donation of $200,000 was handed over by CEO of BCOL, Lynn Young.
Immediately after the hurricane, the CEO of Fortis contacted me and he asked, what can Fortis do? And they'd like to do it through BCOL to help the victims of the hurricane. And we discussed it and we decided that we should do a donation through the Red Cross, because the Red Cross is, it's one of the premier organizations in the world that looks after people after emergencies like this. Very good organization, and of course I know Lily myself. So we agreed on making a donation of $200,000 to the Red Cross. And the Red Cross I think they will use it primarily in their cash transfer program to help the most needy victims of the hurricane. And we are part of the community, and to the extent that the community suffers, we suffer. When the community is well, our company is well.
The innovative initiative to place cash directly into hurricane victims' hands gives them the dignity they deserve and serves to empower them to make their own decisions, states Lily Bowman, the executive director of the Belize Red Cross.
We have been carrying out assessments and then the next day carrying out our distribution, but our focus is on the cash transfer program, which allows the families to really put money into their most needed relief that they need at the time. We have had indication from a lot of them, the majority of the families, that the money will be used for replacing their household items, repairing their roofs, buying school books, and also some of them into food and their daily necessities.
A young volunteer spoke with Love News on the work they're doing and his reason to join the Red Cross.
We're going out from villages to villages, assessing people in the local area. We're doing a cash transfer program to helping people, to give them assistance. There's a lot of youths on the street doing, the wrong stuff, and I want to be somebody like a role model, to say, all right, come on, youths, we have people out here, we have things to do and good things out there. There's good things out there to do. It's not all about, sitting on in front of a TV and doing all the bad stuff. It's to, help the community.
Bowman stated that the system will function by the receivers withdrawing their part of the money from a local bank. Mostly, she said, people have been stating that they will use the money on reconstruction materials, food, and school supplies. We have told you of the contributions given to Belize by the European Union, the Embassy of Taiwan, and the recent one by Inter-American Development Bank of $200,000. On August 4, Prime Minister announced that Dr. Carla Barnett was being placed as the Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, with the more pressing objective of finding relief funds in the aftermath of Hurricane Earl. On Friday, we spoke with Dr. Barnett on the progress of acquiring relief funds.
Well, at this time, the focus is on relief, which means we're trying to engage ourselves in garnering resources to meet the immediate needs of those who have been affected, and contributions like these contribute to that. There is a longer-term effort, which is to assess our overall economic, the economic consequences of Earl on the economy of Belize, and then seeing what economic policies, what responses, how we need to engage with our international partners to deal with those. But that's a secondary line of work. For right now, the focus is on meeting the immediate needs of the people who have been affected.
Dr. Barnett went on to speak on the different phases being conducted when it comes to the damage assessments being made by the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO.
NEMO is still in the field doing assessments. The first set of assessments had to do with need for basic food and shelter and mattresses and those kinds of things. They now are in the stage of responding to those who are in a position to help themselves in terms of small repairs to homes. So they're dealing with helping with zinc and those kinds of things for people who have been affected. And then they will move on to the next phase to try and see how they can meet the needs of people who are even more affected.
As it pertains to the immediate needs, Barnett says they are doing their best to respond to everyone.
Immediate needs, it's difficult to assess and put a cost on the immediate needs. We are trying to respond to everybody, and we're responding through NEMO, and we're doing it that way because NEMO has the skill and the experience in identifying and in responding along with the Ministry of Human Development. So together they have been going into the communities and assessing what the needs are, and we've been meeting those.
Hurricane Earl made landfall on Belize around midnight on August 3rd. Last week in the Belize City Emergency Management Organization, CEMO was asked about claims of bias in the distribution of resources. We asked the Red Cross of Belize if they have faced any such issues. Lily Bowman, Executive Director of the Belize Red Cross, stated that in any relief effort, there will be disgruntled individuals.
In any response, you will have some kind of criticism, especially where you're assisting the most needy. However, the Belize Red Cross is guided by our 7 fundamental principles, one of which is total impartiality and neutrality. And our mandate is to alleviate the suffering of the most needy. So while we are doing our assessments, yes, we recognize that a lot of people have been affected. However, our mandate is to reach those that were most affected. So we will have backlash, we will have people that are disgruntled. However, we just have to accept that they too are suffering in some way, but our mandate is to look after those that are most affected.
Police in Belmopan are looking for 3 suspects following an early morning murder. Correspondent Fem Cruz reports.
A chopping incident just before midnight last night in the San Martin area of Belmopan claimed the life of 32-year-old Clarito Perez, a resident of San Martin, and left his brother Walter Alvarado injured. Love News understand that Perez was on his way to his wife's restaurant on St. Peter Street in the San Martin area of Belmopan when he was attacked and chopped to death by a male person. 32-year-old Clarito Perez was transported to the Western Regional Hospital by ambulance, where he died while receiving treatment. Inspector Santiago Pat, second officer in charge, spoke to Love News about the incident.
On Monday, 15 August, shortly after midnight, police responded to an information at St. Peter Street in the San Martin area, Belmopan City, where police saw Mr. Clarito Perez, 32 years, lying on the middle of the road suffering with several chop wounds to the upper part of his body. With the assistance of medical personnel, Mr. Perez was transported to the Western Regional Hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries whilst going under treatment. Initial investigation shows that Mr. Clarito Perez was walking on the said road when he was attacked by 3 male persons. One of the male persons inflicted the chop wounds with a machete. So far, police are looking for 3 male persons of interest that can assist to solve this matter. Prior to this incident, his brother Walter Alvarado was also attacked whilst walking on Mayamopan Road, and we believe that are the same three persons involved in this chopping incident.
This is Brother Fem Cruz reporting from the nation's capital city, Belmopan, for Love FM.
Last night, San Ignacio police had 4 persons detained for the death of a resident of Duck Run 2, a community in the Spanish Lookout area in the Cayo district. The victim, 37-year-old Ever Miranda of Duck Run 2 in the Cayo district, was killed sometime around 4 o'clock on Sunday morning. Circumstances leading to the murder of Miranda began unfolding in United Village, as explained by an eyewitness who was with Miranda at the time.
We were straight at Unitedville, and then Balip tried to find trouble with my friend Ever Miranda, and he beat Bali, and then we come. All of a sudden, we come home, and we never see that they Balip follow we, and we get stopped for a soft drink. La Pasadita, it come out with the gun and shoot a man, and that's everything what I see, and then we ran home.
You better than me. Bye. Done.
Yeah, and that's why he says he who put a man, and he get a gun and shoot her. And
Love News understands that Miranda was chopped to the head and shot to the chest. Of the 4 persons the police had detained, they will be charging 2 for Miranda's murder. Those charges are expected to be laid on Tuesday morning in the San Ignacio Magistrates Court. An operation initiated by the Immigration Department took place this morning at the western border, where 150 Guatemalans were questioned as they attempted to cross over into Belize. The operation follows a meeting that was held with representatives of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Immigration and the affairs of the Guatemalan Embassy. Today's operation found several Guatemalans coming over the border to work at various establishments, including Vegas Imports, Santander, Running W, among others. About 1 dozen of them were found without work permits, while some had reported that theirs were being processed. The operation was for today only, but will be carried out time and time again to ensure that those who come over to work are in possession of a valid work permit. Attorney General Vanessa Retrieve was officially sworn in this morning as a senator and the Minister of Natural Resources. This morning's ceremony follows a reassignment of cabinet portfolios on August 1st by the Prime Minister, which saw the Ministry of National Security splitting up, leaving John Saldiva with the responsibility for the Belize Coast Guard and the Belize Defense Force, and having his new portfolio dubbed the Ministry of Defense. Senator Godwin Hulse moved from Natural Resources to the Ministry of Home Affairs and Immigration, with responsibility for the police and immigration departments. Senator Retrieve was given the assignment of Natural Resources, but as an unelected minister, she would have to go through the Senate. Senator Francine Burns was asked to step aside in order to allow for Retrieve to take up the Ministry of Natural Resources. Retrieve took her oath as senator this morning at the National Assembly during the Senate sitting. Subsequent to that, she was sworn in at the Belize House in Belmopan as a cabinet minister by the Governor General, His Excellency Sir Colville Young. In the latter part of July, a letter addressed to Belize's Financial Secretary Joseph Waite began circulating. The content of that letter was centered on the effects of the economy regarding the BTL Arbitration Award. In that very document, signed by the Governor of the Central Bank of Belize, Glenford Seguiri, several concerns were expressed, including the fact that there are several demands for foreign exchange that are yet to be fulfilled, including a request from one bank for the sale of $12 million, which he says represents a lengthening queue of pent-up demands from the private sector. It also noted that the offshore sector is also in jeopardy due to correspondent banking situation and the fact that several banks have recently approached the central bank for short-term liquidity loans, totaling about $40 million as a temporary option. Recently appointed Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, Dr. Carla Barnett, was asked by Love News if she feels that there are reasons for alarm.
It is a cause for concern. I wouldn't say alarm, I would say concern. because it means that we have a very difficult situation that we have to address. But as I said, it's not an alarm, it's a concern, and we have to figure out economic policies that will take us out of the situation that we're in. So yes, concern.
And Dr. Carla Barnett was sworn in as a minister on August 9, 2016. Several organizations have been offering a helping hand to Belize following Hurricane Earl. In a press conference on August 4, hosted by the Prime Minister Dean Barrow, he had made mention of Guatemala offering assistance to Belize in its recovery efforts. The media, in an interview last week, spoke with Foreign Affairs Minister Wilfred Elrington, who gave an update on whether or not we had taken up Guatemala on their offer.
Well, they had sent me a message saying, one, that we were free to go across there if in fact there was any need for us to go give them the situation, and two, that they would make their version of Nemo available to us in the event we wanted something. Thankfully, we had no need to avail ourselves of any of their offers. Thank them politely, but really it's not an offer that we need to accede. One can never say that you will not reach out to neighbors for assistance, because you know, one never know what is going to happen. So you can never say never. But it is not something that any of us look forward to, especially given the state of affairs that exists between us. When the situation is normalized, when we finish with this disputed status, we can look forward to a much closer relationship with them. But at this point in time, we would prefer not to have to do that if we don't have to.
As it relates to the damages caused by Hurricane Earl, assessments are still ongoing in the affected areas. William Mason and Hurricane Earl have taken center stage in the last month, giving a break to the Belize-Guatemala issue. On August 8, we told you of an agreement signed between Belize and Guatemala as it relates to the exchange of prisoners currently serving sentences to be deported back to their respective countries to finish out their sentences. That signed agreement comes out of the roadmap geared at strengthening bilateral relations, which was signed in Washington, D.C. on January 24, 2014 by the two foreign ministers. Outside of this agreement, however, there seems to be little, if any, progress on the development of a draft mechanism for the Sarstoon that was agreed upon during bilateral talks in Istanbul, Turkey. Foreign Affairs Minister Wilfred Elrington spoke on the matter.
Unfortunately, we are not moving as fast as we would have wanted. We would have wanted it to have been completed like yesterday. But the Guatemalans were very insistent from the very beginning that they did not think we could do anything before December. We are not happy with that. We are trying to press them, but it takes two to tango, it takes two to dance. We can't do anything unless they agree to do it along with us. But we have made every effort to try to expedite it.
One of the major goals in the entire Belize-Guatemala dispute is to reach the stage of the referendum, where the voters will decide whether or not the matter should reach the International Court of Justice. Belize has not made a move on pushing the referendum, as it is a matter still before the Guatemalan Congress. Minister Elrington says Belize will wait until the Guatemalan Congress makes a decision on the matter.
We will not move forward on the referendum until we have the mechanisms in place. The Prime Minister, that's the last instruction he gave. Prime Minister and the Cabinet were of the view that we should not proceed beyond that until we have the mechanism for the Sarstoon in place.
The meetings in Istanbul, Turkey were held on May 23rd and 24th. As the education minister is looking to see if his vehicle can be recovered after being driven into the sea, his chief education officer, Dr. Carol Babb, was experiencing issues with the government-issued SUV as it had caught fire. Minister Patrick Faber spoke of what he knows of this incident.
I was on the scene because when they called me, Dr. Babb called me to say that the vehicle was on fire. It was around the same time that I had learned of my vehicle being in the sea, and I had left Old Belize and was making my way home. And so I was in the area and I stopped by and I actually saw the vehicle on fire. I suspect though that is no kind of sabotage, that it may genuinely be some kind of electrical or mechanical problem. I don't think mechanical, but electrical problem that vehicle may have experienced. As I've said, that used to be the vehicle that I had for 5 years before Dr. Bob started using it. And you know, people might look at vehicles sometimes and say, wow, these are fairly new vehicles compared to, but they take a lot of beating in terms of moving all around this country. And certainly when I have a vehicle, we go to all very remote areas even of the country. And so there's a good number of mileage on any of my vehicles that exists. And when I say that, I don't just mean the mileage itself, literally, wear and tear and so forth on the vehicle.
Dr. Bob's vehicle was handed down to her when Minister Faber got his 2013 Toyota Prado just after the UDP convention in March 2013. A well-known night spot in the Belmopan area was partially destroyed by fire today. Sometime around 11 o'clock this morning, the fire was reported at the very popular E&L nightclub. Love News spoke with the owner of the establishment, Levi Teo.
We was doing a roof touch. When the hurricane came, it moved me some roof touch, and then we was trying to fix it back. But this morning around 11:30, you know, I was here working, but I gonna have to go deal with some things. And when I came in and said the place get in fire, right? But well, the thing is that the breeze, the wind was too crazy, you know, the spark from the welding. I imagine that it just fly. But up there is far from where we was working, kind of far to catch the roof, no? Because I have something where separate the roof, the thatch roof with the place where we was working. But like how I tell you, you know, something happened. It was an accident.
We also spoke with one of the first responders to the fire.
I just heard fire and I pull a hose and just start to out fire before the fire engine comes. And lucky thing, like how the guy says that no one got hurt and it's material stuff and he's going to rebuild it back, so it won't affect his business too much, right?
Leo said today's fire will not have much of an impact on the business. He said the roof will not be replaced with the same type of material. 31-year-old Jason Young was murdered last Friday while on his way to work. Police have charged Marvin Phillips for the murder of Young. Assistant Commissioner of Police spoke about Phillips' arrest, stating that the police officer's eyewitness report was essential in the case.
Over the weekend, we formally arrested and charged Marvin Phillips for the crime of murder and kept unlicensed firearm. A police officer was in the immediate vicinity who made chase at the suspect, and the suspect was caught shortly thereafter. He was still dressed in the same manner in which the police had seen him fleeing the scene. And so we got other statements from other persons who corroborate what the officer had said, and so we were able to make an arrest in that matter.
ACP Williams went into details as to what could have caused Young's murder, stating that it appears the motive was gang rivalry between the Afghanistan group and the Kral Road group.
From our investigation and basically from speaking to people who is aware of both parties, the situation is that because Marvin Phillips proclaimed to be a member of Afghanistan, who is a gang that based behind the Raccoon Street, Antelope Street area, and Mr. Young is from the Kral Road area, you know that there is an issue between Kral Road and that group, and it's just because the man is from Kral Road. But according to persons who are closely connected to the Phillips, they're saying that they had received information that Young wanted to kill the Phillips, and so they act preemptively by taking him out.
ACP Williams stated that the police is positive that the case will be successfully prosecuted. 19-year-old Egbert Baldwin, aka Eggy, was charged with the murder of John Williams when he appeared today before the Chief Magistrate Anne-Marie Smith. Baldwin, a resident of Ladyville, was remanded into custody until December 19th. Williams, a resident of Ladyville, was shot and killed on August 2nd. The National Song Competition was held at the Memorial Park on Saturday night. 21 songs entered into the competition when it was said and done. In the police song category, Cecil Kokonoboy Jenkins retained his title with his song Border to Border. Finishing in second place was up-and-coming artist Jeannie Brooks with the song Flags in the Air. In the carnival song category, Wilson Greenwich walked off with the first prize with his song Soca Session, and Leslie, Mr. Bastic Jenkins, was second with his song Represent.
And also get a cash of $500, yes? Give her a round of applause, please. $3,000. Wow! Give him a round of applause. Thank you. $1,000 and a trophy. I would like to ask the ambassador.
This year's breakout artists were Jeannie Brooks in the Belize song category with her song Flags in the Air. Jerome Crawford took the honors in the carnival song category with Celebration. For the People's Choice Award, which was done by voting online, Eugene Gentle won in the Belize song category with Mr. Lady. Block the Boat, while Barbara Missy B. Herrera won in the carnival song category with Fire. Winners in both categories received $10,000 as well as a trophy. The prize also includes a music video and an opportunity to represent Belize in the region. Taking part as a judge and distributing the winning prizes was Belize's music ambassador, Shine Barrow. The Queen of the Bay, Toledo, was selected this past weekend. Correspondent Paul Mahang has the details.
A member of the pageant organizing committee and former Queen of the Bay, Toledo, Zaida Roches, spoke of the results.
Of the 5 delegates, the new Queen of the Bay, Toledo, is 20-year-old Alicia Vernon, who was also named Miss Amity. First runner-up is 16-year-old Tyra Bailey, who was also named Miss Photogenic. Second runner-up is 19-year-old Tanisha Lino. The delegates were judged on their introduction, individual talent presentation, swimwear, evening gown appearance, and question and answer segment. Judges were Janisha Mariano, Monica Sopal, Angela Neesing, Elzina Labrel, and Shane Armstrong. We were pleased to have the welcome remarks by Chair Lady of the Punta Gorda Queens Committee, Ms. Shirlene Casimiro. Pageant host, Love FM Turbo Man Captain Paul Mahong, singer Garrett Jacobs, who serenaded the delegates, BDF 1st Battalion soldiers, who were the delegates' on-stage escorts, and vote of thanks were given by Punta Gorda Mayor Fern Gutierrez. Other special items during the pageant included farewell appearance and address by outgoing Queen of the Bay Toledo 2015, Miss Chelsea Flores.
Zaida Roches of Queen of the Bay Toledo Committee. Shortly after the official announcement of winners, Love News caught up with an overwhelmed new Queen of the Bay Toledo, Alicia Vernon.
This is a wonderful experience. I am overwhelmed, and to know that all my hard work has come to great payoff, and I put in many sleepless nights practicing, designing my costumes and figuring out my talent, and I came up here to perform for this crowd, and to notice that everyone was cheering for me, it was so amazing.
Queen of the Bay Toledo Alicia Vernon will now officially represent this district at the upcoming National Queen of the Bay pageant. Reporting for Love News, Paul Mahone, Punta Gorda.
55 children took part in the second cohort of the Getting to Know Your Country program initiated by the Eastern Division South Police. Inspector Elroy Carcamo, officer in charge of the community policing, spoke about the first phase of the program, which included taking the children on the Lifeline tour.
The luxury of visiting across the country, but before that we had some life skills activity with them where we taught them how to more appreciate one another and how to appreciate what the country has to offer. Thereafter we took them on the Lifeline journey, which is to go to the hotspots. From the hotspots they were taken to the police station, from the police station to the court, and from the court to Kobe Foundation, and then to the cemetery. And at all these stops they had people interacting with them, talking to them about what is expected and what will happen if you become a criminal or you're involved in illegal activities out there.
The police took the children to see Mayan temples, waterfalls, and other districts to expose them to Belize's diversity.
The second cohort they did the same thing, but it was a little bit different. You know, we had the hurricane that came and that had to break us. We had to release them, and then they came back the following week and they did the tour, the same tours that like the other did, with the exception at the 100-foot falls where they went more into Dangriga. We could have seen the difference on the youth faces. Their participation changed from when they just started out, the way how they interact with the police officers and the other instructors. I am grateful for it, and I think that they have learned a lot, and I know that they would want this program to continue for other youths to come.
In all, 100 children took part in this program. Today, India's 70th Independence Day. There are an estimated 600 families of Indian descent in Belize. The Indian community celebrated it in Corozal. Vijay Punjabi, representing the Belize Indian Merchants Association, spoke with Love News about the Indian community in Belize and how they celebrate Independence Day.
We had celebration at Corozal with all the Indian communities. We gathered at the Indian temple, Hindu temple, and we did the flag hosting over there, and after that we had a breakfast. We also had East Indian community, few people who had come to congratulate us on the Indian independence. So we are originally from India, and we don't want to lose the roots. We are originally born over there, so we don't want to forget our Indian, and we love our country. Same as we love our country, Belize, we also love India. We did the national anthem, we did the flag hosting, and we listened to the Indian patriotic songs. We have a few of quite some of them in Corozal town, and we have quite a few in Belize city also. And we have very few in Orange Walk and in other parts of Belize. Belize Indian Merchant Association was formed just to have a unity between all the Indians and all the Indians who are in community. So we do all the cultural programs. We try to celebrate. When we have Indian temple, we take care of the temple. Then we have, if any Indian has a problem with some business also associated to business, so because the business association, we have tried to help them also. Everybody has most 99% of the people, they are in business, they own a business in Belize City, in Belize and all over the country. Belize, Corozal, Orange. For this occasion, we don't have any special food, but we had a breakfast this morning at the temple because everybody had to go work. Usually we keep a party in the evening, but this time we just had a morning breakfast after the celebration.
Okay, any special message that Dima wants to give the Indian community in Belize during this time?
We just like to wish each and every Indian a very, very happy independence. It is the 70th year of independence for Indians. We'd like to have them wish them a very, very happy Indian Independence Day.
Belize City Police recovered 2 guns over the weekend. Assistant Commissioner of Police Chester Williams stated that they have sent them for lab testing to see if they have been used in any current crime.
On Friday night, the police recovered a firearm, a 9mm pistol on Kamabach field, somewhere in the Yabra area. And yesterday, we also recovered a .38 revolver, again in the Yabra area. We have packaged them and they'll be sent off to the lab for ballistic analysis to see if they can be tied to any of the previous shootings we have had. And the police continue to work very closely with the citizenry, and we have been receiving very good information from them, and we continue to get good information. And every time we get this information, we always act on them, and in most cases, we get success.
Our thought conditioner for today is from Abraham Lincoln. It reads, quote, "You can have anything you want if you want it badly enough. You can be anything you want to be, do anything you set out to accomplish if you hold to that desire with singleness of purpose." End of quote. This has been the Evening News on Love Television, and we invite you to log on to our website at www.lovefm.com for transcripts of our news stories. Thank you for joining us. I am Taryn Butcher.